Welcome to On the Beat, everyone. I'm over here with Sarah Cline Stevens, attorney at law, and today we're talking all about probate, what it is, why do we need it, and what do we do when a loved one passes on. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's delve a little bit about probate, because I remember my mother passing away and my sisters back home in Australia had no concept of what to do. So for everyone out there who doesn't understand what probate is, talk them through that for me.
So here in Mississippi, the probate process is when a loved one has a last will and testament and they pass away. You submit that last will and testament to the Chancery Court, and the court says, yes, this is their valid last will and testament, and there's a process you have to go through that's necessary to distribute their assets to the beneficiaries that are named in the will, and that's the probate process.
Okay, but they have to have a will to be able to go into probate.
That's right. Having a will and not having a will differentiate whether you're in the probate process or an administration.
Okay, now you brought up administration. What is administration?
So an administration is kind of the same process as a probate, except it's what we do when we do not have a last will and testament. Mississippi has specific laws that detail how property must be distributed when you're intestate or you die without a last will and testament.
Okay, are they both similar and must you have them?
They are very similar. With an administration, you've got a couple of extra steps because the court doesn't know who you wanted to leave your property to. So we have to have what's called a determination of heirship to determine who your true heirs are or who will be the recipients of your property. Now, so they are similar in that regard. They're not always required. Sometimes there are some shortcuts that if you have a valid estate planning attorney who understands administrations and estates, you might be able to forego the probate or administration process if you fit within those substantial factors. But there are about 3 different ways that you might be able to circumvent a probate process. They're called a muniment of title, whereas if you only need to show how the property is supposed to pass, if it's real property, you just need who's supposed to get that, then you can file the will. You have to have a valid original last will and testament to do a muniment of title, but you can file that, and it serves as a connector with the chain of title, just who the property passes to. It doesn't do anything else, but there's also a small estate affidavit and an heirship affidavit. Now, you have to know the legal ramifications of doing those things because they are not a full probate administration. They don't cut off claims of creditors. There's a lot of things they don't do, so you need the advice of a qualified estate attorney to know if those are good options for you and your family.
Well, it's funny you say that because that was going to be my next question, but I remember when my mother passed away unexpectedly and also had no will, you know, it was very difficult to know what to do and also what her wishes were for. Hence why I want to say it's obvious you do need an attorney.
Yes, Mississippi requires you to have an attorney through either an estate or administration process. It's one of the very few areas of the law where you cannot represent yourself.
Okay.
But it's also really important that you find an attorney who is well versed in estate law because it's a complex issue and you want to make sure that it's done correctly. But it's also one of those areas of the law where you have to have a good working relationship with the attorney.
Okay, well, what happens if your loved one passes away without a will and you don't have an attorney? Is it too late, or you then have to find one, obviously?
Well, you need to find an attorney at that point.
Regardless?
Regardless, because
Okay.
you cannot represent yourself, you cannot represent your deceased loved one's interest without an attorney.
All right, very quickly, how do we know we're finding the right attorney? Because it's very difficult. You're in an emotional state
Absolutely.
at that stage, and sometimes your judgment could be clouded.
That's true, and you want to make sure that you don't make any rash decisions. So you want to find an attorney who has experience in estates. You want to have a conversation with them and ask them specific questions about, do you have experience in this area?
Gotcha.
How many times have you done this before? And you want to make sure that you've got an attorney who's experienced but also compatible with you personally.
Well, again, as always, great information. We really appreciate it. If you want to find out more information, there it all is up on the screen for you. Sarah Cline Stevens, attorney at law. Give her a call. She will point you in the right direction. Back up.